Good morrow to you all. You have fallen on bad times.
Brought to you by the Royal Holloway Shakespeare Society.
You join me, Theo Dudridge.
And me, Subhan Hay, as we bear some bardy truths.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bad Times. This week I'm joined by Shakespeare alumni Sophie Barton. Say hi.
Hi.
How are you doing, Sophie?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm tired. I've just done a show. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's a good time. For those of you who don't know, Sophie Barton played Dory and other characters in Midsummer Nightmare in her first year. She played Juliet in Romeo and Juliet with both Royal Holloway and a theatre company known as Ruckus. She was the social sec of Shakespeare Society in her second year. She was chorus in Iphigenia. She performed in various Macbees. She was Cavity in Mischief and Mayhem for Drama Society as well. So, it's very rare that someone gets to play Juliet twice, both for a uni show and for a theatre company show, also with members of the uni. For better context, Ruckus was a theatre company set up by some former students from Royal Holloway. I DSM'd the show. It was a really fun time. So, you got to play Juliet twice. What was that experience like, both at a uni theatre and at a theatre in London?
Oh, well, they were both very, very different because at uni, obviously, we only had I think we got cast in January and we did the show in March. So you have 2 months to just whack it out really, really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Not that we didn't do loads of work, we did so much work behind it. But I think what was interesting, the difference between it is when we did it with another theatre company, we weren't meant to have as long of a period of time of prep as we did because COVID ruined it, because we were initially meant to perform in Camden Fringe in July, August. Yeah. And then it got delayed all the way to December. So we had an extra 4 months to do everything, which was just really I've never had that amount of time to prep for a show or anything. So it just kind of meant that we could go really, really, really deep with all the characters and spend ages dramaturging it, prep work for all of them, thinking of all of that sort of stuff. But I think it was nice because we had a few of the same cast members and a few of the same crew members from the first time we did it at Holloway. The second time. So it was kind of very a nostalgic thing, and it was interesting to see how the show changed from the first time we did it to the second time we did it, because it transformed massively. And I think it also I changed massively. The show really helped me progress as an actor. But it was just really sweet to think we've been doing it for literally 2 years. And it was just a really interesting progression. And obviously you were a DSM, so the show, when we did it at the theatre with the theatre company, it was hugely different to how it was at Holloway. It was much darker, much darker. But I think the only way we were able to do that is because we had so much prep time and everybody involved in it put their heart and soul into it, and really because we had so much time. It was interesting. It was also nice as I played Juliet in my first year of uni, and then I played her in my third year, and I was wow, I've changed so much in those amount of years. It was just very, I know I've already said it, but very nostalgic kind of thing. Yeah.
I think that's the thing with kind of reprising any role or doing the same role years after you've done it, when you're younger. But I think with a role such as Juliet as well, and having done two different versions of the same production, there's a lot you can learn, and there's obviously a lot of different directions directors will want to take certain characters and certain scenes. I mean, shameless plug, but by the time this episode goes out, it would have been the last night of Shakespeare Society's current show, A Slight Taming. And the way that we've decided to take that particular show concept and put a spin on Taming of the Shrew, it'd be interesting to see kind of what happens if someone were to take that up again and put a different spin on it, and some actors reprise it. But yeah, no, that's really interesting. So with your second production of RNJ and with your most recent production of Mischief and Mayhem, both of those were performed in London theatres. So you performed R&J at the Cockpit and the Little Mischief and Mayhem at the Little Angel Theatre.
Yeah.
What was it like being able to perform in those spaces, particularly during COVID times, or coming to the cusp of COVID at that point in the summer?
It was amazing both times, but both of them were very different due to COVID.
Yeah.
So R&J, I think that was like the first time I know I got in the theatre. Well, for like tech, obviously we rehearsed in there constantly.
Yeah.
But the first time I got in for tech was when we knew we weren't doing any more in-person shows. We knew it was a live stream.
Yeah.
So
that was a
I
fun day.
All of us were just like, oh my God. It was a lot of emotions and a lot of stress. And I can imagine significantly more stress for all of you in the crew, because you found out at the theatre before any of us actors traipsed in.
That was an interesting day, because it was the day of our get-in, and it was also the day, if those of you who remember the dark times when London went into Tier 4.
Yep.
So what happened was, I think I mentioned this on Cordelia's episode recently. What happened was we were checking the news constantly, and it was around, I want to say, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, between like 2 and 3. We got the announcement that London was going into Tier 4, and that obviously meant that all live productions had to be suspended. But we had put like money and time into this show, and it would have been a little bit like, oh, I guess that's it then, guess we're done. But like Rosie and I were still teching at that point. Like we had masks on, we were teching. And then there was a moment where I think all of the crew came down to like the foyer. We met with the duty manager, or the manager of the cockpit, and he offered us the opportunity to be able to live stream the show, which was incredible. Thing is, because the live stream was quite, it was a great thing, because it scrapped together. We couldn't really do much extra with the lighting, so the final like film itself of Romeo and Juliet was quite dark, especially with stage lighting, because if you've ever filmed a stage show, you have to make sure that like everyone's lit from like the ground up in order to like get everyone's faces and stuff. So lighting was
great job. The tech was insane.
Thank you. The acting was incredible. Like, let's talk about that. That was some good stuff.
I do remember when that happened, because I got a call from our director. He was like, "Are you okay?" And I was just sitting in my kitchen, and I was like meal prepping, like for the next few days. I was like making like a big batch of spag bowl, and I got the news, and I just sat down and I just burst into tears. And I remember literally saying out loud in an empty house, just being like, "What am I going to do with all of this spag bowl that I've made? Like, what am I meant to do with it now?" Jeez. But that was a very different experience to Mischief and Mayhem. Mischief and Mayhem also got delayed because of COVID. So it seems to be a curse with quite a few of the shows that I've done in the last few years.
Touch wood.
We went to do it in August. Yep, touch wood, touch all the wood. We went to do it in August, and then someone got COVID, so we had to delay it. And then we did it in early September. And the getting was still very much like, it was all masked and everything, but it was much less like COVID kind of environment, because we were like, it was like early September. There were no more restrictions or anything. There was no like about to go into Tier 4 kind of announcement, etc. But that was also like it's a very different theatre. Obviously R&J we did in the round, and then Mischief Mayhem was just like end on stage audience thing. But it was also very fun, because we spent like 30 minutes trying to hang up this like sheet that was meant to be at the back of the stage, and working out whether we needed a ladder or whether I was the tallest and I could reach up. So that's a really fun memory I have. And also we had so much sand and like chocolate coins in the show, so anytime after we did any of those scenes, it was just like, who's going to hoover the stage now? Kind of a thing. But that was, I think also just they were very different shows. So the R&J tech was when we were doing the dress run and everything, was the knowledge of like, don't push yourself too far, because you have to do this as an actual show very soon. Whereas Mischief and Mayhem was like, it was just both shows were insanely fun, but Mischief and Mayhem was a completely different like crazy vibe, and it was amazing. And I got to do it with some of my like closest uni friends, and it was nice to finish our final uni together. It was really it was really, really nice to do. But very different vibes, but very fun. Just in London theatres is just insane. It's just really, really, really fun to do. And then I remember the theatre, the Little Angel Theatre, where we performed Mischief and Mayhem, they had a cat and a dog in the theatre.
Oh.
There was this little dog that was running around everywhere, which was also very, very sweet.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was called Toto. I think.
That's great. That's
I think
incredible.
it was. But yeah, it was. I'm very lucky to have been able to perform in both of those spaces. I really relished that.
Amazing. Amazing. So, you obviously did a BA undergrad at Royal Holloway, and you're now at Mountview studying a Masters in Acting.
Yeah.
So obviously we've mentioned COVID and lockdown quite a bit. So obviously, having done your third year in kind of a uni lockdown hybrid situation, what was it like applying for a drama school, like with all that in mind, and getting in, obviously, because you're there now?
Oh God, it was honestly not as stressful now in retrospect as I made it out to be. Like, it was all drama schools were doing self-tapes.
Yeah.
Ultimately, so it was just trying to work out that and working out where to film and lighting and looking at all the different regulations of how long it was, because some schools were like, oh no, we want it to be a 90-second monologue, and another one says 2 minutes, so you're like, So, but it's not a thing of like, I think some people thought that we could just, I think my parents were like, can't you just like film 2 monologues and send them to everyone? And I was like, no, they all have different time requirements. You have to film them individually for every single school.
Sometimes
that was fun. But yeah, it was all applications online, and then some were through UCAS Conserve as well, which was a nightmare. But they were all applications online, and then you got an email, and then it was like where you usually get an email being like, this is the date of your audition, or this and this and this. It was this is the date or when we want you to have your self-tape in by. So it's kind of a situation like that. And for Mountview, I got a deadline of putting a self-tape in, and it was on like something on Google thing, and the amount of times I checked that I'd actually uploaded it was ridiculous. And then they said upload it by this day. I think it was like the 6th of April or something.
Yeah.
Weird, I remember that. But they were like, and you will find out if you have been recalled by this day, which was a good and bad thing, because it was like, okay, great, so I'll know. But then it's just sit on your phone the entire day, like, I had that with a few schools as well whilst waiting for recalls, but I then didn't get I didn't get told anything on the day they told me they were going to tell me. They told me the next day, the next morning. So I was fully like, no, it doesn't matter. It was my favorite school, but it's fine. It doesn't matter. And then I found out I got recalled whilst shopping with my family, and I screamed really loudly in a Superdrug.
Nice.
It was fun. It was the same weekend I got a recall for another school, so I was like, yeah, I'm on a roll, but don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up way too much, because it's just going to hurt. But that recall, my Mountview recall, was online. Yeah. Which was actually really fun. It was an experience. Like, I had three recalls, and 2 were online, 1 was in person. The one in person was like way into like late June, so it was, by then there was less restrictions and all that. But my Mountview was on Zoom.
Fun.
And they managed to do it really, really well. Like, credit to them, because it was a really, really fun day. But we had to do like it was 3 hours of improv initially, and it's not like really fun like players antique stuff. It got really like messy. Our teacher, who's one of my teachers now, basically we were a group of 30. No, there were 60 of us on that day itself, but we were in 2 groups of 30 and then split into 2 groups of 15. And we were told, oh, you're on a prom committee, and you need to decide the theme of your prom. And all of us were like, okay, interesting. And our teacher just threw out different like situations to us. So my situation was that I came up with the idea of a masquerade, and this other girl stole the idea. Someone else was a couple we'd broken up. Someone else was the head girl who has a superiority complex. It was all of that, and our teacher just went, right, go. For like 90 minutes, just solidly seeing how we can bounce off each other, how we can make a realistic character with 0 prep. It was so fun. It was, honestly, that's the one thing I went away from that day. I was like, if I don't get in, I did my best, and I had so much fun with it. But we had that, which was incredible fun. Does that make sense?
Yeah, incredible fun. Incredible fun. Good fun. Good fun.
But interestingly, one of the girls I like bounced off of the most in the recall is in my class now. And we
Oh,
saw each other on the
nice.
first day, like,
Oh,
but we did that, and then we had some movement on Zoom,
yeah.
which was interesting. We did like Laban's efforts on Zoom remotely, which was a
Fun.
really interesting one. And I managed to hit myself over the head with a chair in
Yeah.
it. I like was like, they were like, pick up something new. So I picked up the chair and was like, oh yes, floatiness, and just whacked myself in the head with it. And I was like, okay, well, that's memorable. And
Yeah.
then we had just like a Q&A with the head of one of the heads of our course. And then we had to wait an hour over lunch to find out if they wanted us back for an interview.
Fair.
The most stressful hour of my life. Just like, don't look at your computer, don't look at Gmail. And then I got the email being like, please come back for an interview. And I was like, yes. And then I just waited on Zoom for like 3 hours while they got through whoever else they were interviewing before I had my interview, which was just basically finding out what sort of person you are.
Fair.
They were just seeing like what you were like. I got asked why I wanted to train at Mountview. Oh God, I can't even remember what else. It was so long ago. But that, and then after that you wait.
Fun.
Ultimately, and then you find out. And it's great. And it was a very, very, very happy day. Both my parents cried. It was quite funny. I also cried. But yeah, it was stressful, but I think all drama schools did the most that they could.
Yeah.
Honestly, and because they'd already done it a year before, because the year before, obviously when COVID hit in March, some people had in-person auditions and recalls, and other ones had to go straight to self-tapes, and it was like such a stress for everyone involved. But this year they'd last year, the ones for this academic year, they'd worked out how to do it, and it was really smooth and it was really well done. I think
that's good. That's good.
I think applications for this year or next year, the next academic year, I assume they're doing them mostly in person. I think.
Yeah.
Because they can.
Yeah.
Well, touch wood. But yeah, it was really fun, but very unique to COVID.
I can imagine. Yeah. So as you mentioned, you gave us a bit of a taster as what you do, kind of with some of the improv classes that you do as part of the course. What other things do you do on a kind of a week by week basis? Because it's a lot from what you told me.
It's absolutely amazing. Like, I love it, but oh my God, is it a lot? Because we only have 1 year. So it's just like shoving everything into 1 year.
Jeez, okay.
So we do this coming week is my 6th week of skills. So we do 6 weeks of skills, and then we do 4 weeks of a project. So that'll be a play that we don't know yet. We'll find out next week. We know what groups we're in and we know our director.
Yeah.
But we don't know what we're doing, who we are, any of it. But basically, in terms of skills, it's a very full-on week. It's usually around our start time changes between 9:30 and 10:45 throughout the week, and then we usually finish by 6.
Yeah.
Every day. But we do stuff like we have 2 acting classes a week. We have an acting for camera class. We have so much voice class. Voice and Alexander technique, which has actually massively improved my posture generally. I say this while hunched over a laptop, but we do a speech class, which is about beginning to learn accents and all that.
Yeah.
We have movement, we have singing, we have dance, we have combat. I love combat.
Nice.
So fun to wield a sword around. I'm pretty sure that's everything. And then we have 3 hours of improv every Friday afternoon, which is always a fascinating one. And then we have something called sight reading as well, which is really actually very just teaching you how to, when you get a script in an audition, immediately how to do it.
That's really good.
It's really useful class. It's also just very fun. And then we have career and industry classes, which teaches about spotlight, headshots, agencies, agent interviews.
Okay.
All of that shebang, which is so much stuff that is so integral, but I didn't really think about.
Fair.
And then we have something at the end of our year called a creative project, which is it's like a creative dissertation ultimately, because we have to do something like that.
Yeah.
Have it accredited as a degree. So we basically we have a seminar and a lecture once a week about a different topic, and it's basically make your own thing.
Fair.
Ultimately, you just make your own piece of theatre or a film or a performance lecture or something.
Yeah.
A lot of people have taken that on and taken it away. It's kind of like, it's kind of similar, but also completely different to like an FYP.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's much more you yourself do it.
Yeah.
And you get assessed much more on like the acting and all of that than you might be for an FYP. But yeah, it's absolutely, it's amazing. It's so full on. But it is absolutely, it's so much fun. And you bond very quickly with people.
Yeah.
Because you have to. Like we had one of our first week was like, we did a performance which we call Open Space, which is basically just viewpoints, like a viewpoint performance. It was so much fun. But we had like, I remember like a 2-hour session where we just sat around in a circle and like spoke about vulnerability. And I was like, this feels like therapy. This is quite nice. But it's really, really fun. But it is like very, very full on. So you just kind of have to, you get used to it eventually. But everyone burnt out at like week 4 or 5, and all of us are now like ready to go again.
It's incredible.
It's so fun.
Oh, that kind of wish drama courses in general were just like that. Just a lot of fun. I mean, they are. Acting for camera is something that I've wanted to kind of learn a lot more since I came to uni. So I did a Shakespeare on camera module quite recently, which was fun for improving that. But yeah, but no, those all sound incredible. So having done a drama uni course, what would you say is the main difference between a drama course at a uni versus a drama course at an acting school?
Well, drama school is significantly more full on, massively more, like many more contact hours, much more of that, like you are in 5 days a week, full on days. So that there's also it's much more practical, like there's a lot of oh sorry,
that's okay,
my throat there. But there's, whereas like say for seminars and stuff at uni you'd have more like consistent academic reading. We do have some reading for our creative project, but a lot of it is like practicing stuff. Like next week I get assessed on a 20-minute voice warm-up that I make, and it's just a lot of practicing that and practicing dancing, and next week I have to perform a song and practicing script work and going over stuff and a lot of that sort of stuff. So it's a lot more, it's less so you do a reading and then you're done with your work. It's just like constant like practice work outside of class. Because it like makes it get in your head. But it's a lot more about that sort of stuff. And it's also like, I'm really glad I did like a BA in theatre studies before, because it taught me so much that has like informed this. But it is much more like everything is focused around your acting, whereas say in like drama modules there's like, if you do a performance, there's, you're assessed on the acting obviously, but also like I remember when I did like the Shakespeare and ecology course in 2nd year, like you're assessed on your also how you work the ecology into it, how you do this and how you do that and all that stuff. Whereas it's mainly just you are assessed and you are worked on with your acting, and primarily your acting, which is a lot more. It's also, there's such a range in age, especially in my course. Compared to uni, like I thought I would be the baby, but I'm the 2nd youngest. There is someone who's a little bit younger than me. But everyone's like, there's a huge range in age. It goes from like 21 to I think someone's mid-30s.
Fair.
So it's much more like of a mix of age and a huge, I mean obviously same with uni, and there's a huge backgrounds, but it's just really interesting because some people have already worked in the industry and some people like me have come straight from uni. So it is very, it's different, but there are definitely comparable things, I'd say.
It's interesting as well, kind of hearing stories of people who have auditioned for drama school, didn't get in, and are given some feedback, something on the lines of like, go out there, get more life experience, and then come back. I remember before I was deciding if I wanted to go to a drama school or a uni, I went to an open day. I went to a tour at RADA,
Yeah.
And the guy who was giving the tour was a current MA student, but he auditioned originally to do a BA there,
Yeah.
didn't get it, then did a BA at a uni, then
Mhm.
came back to RADA, did a full 3-year BA, and he's now doing his master's.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird the thing with drama schools and uni in general, there are so many different paths you can go on to
Yeah.
kind of get to that point.
Exactly. There are people who've done so many different like degrees in like undergrad degrees who are doing
Yeah,
the MA because it doesn't really matter what you did before,
yeah,
ultimately, before you go there. But I think also definitely the thing about life experience, I think, is a thing.
yeah,
But it's more of a like one of the key principles we're taught is to stop acting.
yeah.
It's
I've
a
heard
really
that.
interesting one. They're like, you stop performing, stop acting. One of the main things that I love so far, and it's really hard to break out of, is the idea of performing emotion.
Yeah,
They're like, characters don't sit there and go, right, I'm gonna perform being sad now, or I'm
they have.
gonna be
Yeah,
angry. It's like there is something that causes that emotion, and that's what you have to play.
you have to believe it.
It's really hard. It's really hard to break out of that, like, because that's what everyone assumes acting is, and then
Yeah,
it's just much more about that, and also that everything is multifaceted. Like, you don't
yeah,
go to a scene and go, this is a sad scene, because there's different things in it. It's really, and you do learn a lot about yourself as well, about the way that you approach like certain emotions and the way that affects you, and
yeah.
all that. It's very, very interesting. But there is a lot of stuff so far where I was like, my God, how did I ever perform before knowing this? But it
It's
is interesting.
nice. I mean, so final question I have for you regarding your drama school pathway. Any advice for people looking to audition for drama school either this year or in future years to come?
Go with your gut is the main one. If you look at a speech and your gut says do it, but other people are telling you don't do it, do it. Like, I did Juliet for my Shakespeare, which is one of the ones for drama schools. They're like, don't do it. All young women do Juliet. Like, they recommend, people are like, oh, we recommend you don't do it because it is overdone. But I was like, my gut was like, no, you know this character so well, do it.
Yeah,
Like, go for it, do it, because I like, trust yourself that you know the right thing for you, which is a really
yeah,
hard thing to do because it's really difficult sometimes to discern a gut feeling
yeah,
when you're anxious or when you're worrying or when you care about something.
yeah,
But ultimately go with your gut. And also, just like, there's absolutely no shame in rejection, none. Like, I got rejected from schools. You just get told and then you're like, okay, it's not personal, it never is.
yeah,
It's just it is what it is. And I think also, like, I went in with full expectations of not getting in anywhere first year, which is kind of, I wouldn't recommend that because it's quite depressing.
yeah,
But just kind of go in, but don't, if you get rejected from places, it's not a reflection on your talent.
yeah,
Don't sit there and beat yourself up about it, because it's not a reflection on whether or not you are a good actor. Like, it
yeah,
happens. They have so many applications. You might not just be right for, like, I did send exactly the same self tape to one school, got recalled for them, sent the exact same to another and didn't get recalled for them. Like,
yeah.
it is literally,
It's potluck.
exactly, it is, and it's interesting when I talk about it, because like, people are like, oh, give yourself some credit, and I'm like, no, but it is luck. A
Yeah,
good portion of it is luck. I'm lucky Mountview didn't have a girl who looked like me.
yeah.
Because it's like, if they already have someone who looks like you, doesn't matter whether you're the most
That's it. You're done.
actor,
Yeah,
doesn't matter. They already have someone. There's
yeah,
so many other factors that go into it. And to also just, like, I'd say, protect your mental health when you're applying. Like, it's difficult to say this because I did this and it's really hard, but don't get insanely attached to one school. Just
yeah,
apply and be like, what will be, will be.
yeah,
And just kind of trust the process. Like, I did allow myself to get very emotionally attached to Mountview, which was after my recall, but that was very lucky.
yeah,
Like, just enjoy it. If
yeah,
you get recalled, I know it's really hard to say, but just have fun. The recalls are so fun, and you're with a bunch of people who will likely all be going into the industry at the same time as you. Just have
yeah.
fun with it. Also, just be nice. Be nice and thank people.
Just be a good person.
Be a good person. Like, people don't thank each other enough or be nice to each other enough. Just be nice. But yeah, it's really hard because I don't even fully know what advice I would give me looking back in a year, because it is just so. It is what it is. Everyone's experience is completely unique, but also like spend time searching for monologues. Don't pick the first one you find. Like spend a good. I think I don't know if you've ever heard of Backstage, but like they like if you put into Google like Backstage monologues, they like have compiled a list of different monologues from different plays, from different eras, like whether they're comedic or whether they're dramatic. Look through those. Those are amazing. Those are amazing.
Incredible
like
stuff.
I found my contemporary monologue there from something I probably never would have found if not.
Fair. What was your contemporary monologue?
It was a very fun one. It was from a play called Elsewhere by Adam Simkowitz, and it's a character called Juliet, and it's like comedic, but it's also highly disturbing because she's essentially killed this guy. As you do. She's murdered this guy who she was in love with, but he was planning to run off with her sister. So she basically like was like, "Oh, I'm fine with it," and then like they were speaking in the garden, and she essentially picked up a shovel and just like killed him, and then buried him, and then dug him back up again. And the speech is her sitting there being like, "Oh my god, I'm so kooky. Why do I do these things?" kind of thing. So it was very, very fun. But yeah, that was my one. That was mine.
Incredible stuff. So we're now going to move on to the review section of the podcast, and you recommended a play to me which sadly has just ended its run, because I did look up the date, so I was going to try and look in, see if I could see it. It's a play called A Normal Heart, which was at the National Theatre. It's a play about exploring AIDS and activism and anger at the gay community. So having seen this play, Sophie, can you tell us a bit more about it and what your thoughts and feelings were?
So it's written by Larry Cranmer, I think that's how you pronounce it.
I think so, yeah.
And he was a key gay activist during the AIDS crisis, and he went on TV and he got so angry and he shouted, and he's one of the reasons why there became like support for the gay community. And there was a charity he set up that I can't remember the name of, but that's due to him and his activism. Despite the fact that everybody hated him, because he was so angry. And it's mentioned in the play because the lead character, Ned Weeks, who's played by Ben Daniels, he essentially talks about how like people screamed at him on the subway and said like, "Oh my god, you're like ruining you're making people hate us again, this and this and that." And he was so hated, but what he did meant that there was creating an incredible charity to help gay men. But yeah, the play is ultimately following a character called Ned Weeks and him and a group of other men setting up a charity and aid throughout the AIDS crisis. And I think it's so incredible because it's a product of its time. It was written in the 80s. So all the anger and the pain is so visceral because it was written during the time. And there's at the center of it, there's this love story between this character called Ned and the character called Felix. And it is absolutely gut-wrenching. Like when I saw it, I mean, the entire credit to the entire cast, because it was absolutely, I saw it and it was absolutely phenomenal. It's probably one of the best things I have ever seen. And there's a lot of like, it's very heavy at points, but it's so funny as well. It's so hilarious at points, but by the end of it, you could hear people in the theatre sobbing.
Christ.
Yeah, it was like a unanimous, every single person around me was sobbing their eyes out.
Yeah.
It just, I didn't even know what it is. It's just so visceral and just heart-wrenching. And there were audible reactions in the audience to certain things. Like there was someone who, after something was revealed, a person in the audience near me just out loud just went, "What?" really loudly.
Christ.
And yeah, I think also it meant so much to performers because it was a majority gay cast.
Fair.
And you could see how much it meant to them.
Yeah.
tell the story, like especially at bows at the end, you could see how proud they all are and how grateful they are and how much it means to them. And it's just, oh god, it's phenomenal. One of my friends on my course saw the play the other day and she messaged me after going like, okay, I know you said it was good, but I didn't expect it to be that amazing. But it was, it's a shame that it's closed, because otherwise I'd be like, everybody go see it.
Well, it'll probably be on National Theatre Live, I reckon, at some
yeah,
point.
I mean, they always film things for National, even if they don't release it anymore. But it's also, it had Liz Carin, who was in Silent Witness. Absolutely, that woman is, I love her. She's great. But she plays a doctor in it, one of the first doctors who was treating men with AIDS and also like actually trying to draw attention to it. And she has this amazing scene where she basically screams at a bunch of medical professionals who like refuse to give money towards it because, you know, homophobia. She screams at them and she chucks papers at them of all her like patients, being like, you want my patients, take them, I'm the only person doing anything, and just completely destroys them all, and then goes off stage and everyone just cheers in the audience. It's such a beautiful moment in performance where the audience is joined together in response to the play. And it's honestly, I've not stopped thinking about it, and every single person I know who's seen it has also not stopped, because it's a play that is so needed, and it's because none of it's ever taught in schools to kids.
No, it's not.
Nothing is ever taught about it. It's just kind of like Margaret Thatcher's government and I think it was Reagan at the time. They did absolutely nothing. That's why the play is so good, because it's so angry. It's like, why does nobody care that we're dying? The whole thing. It's stunning. And yeah, hopefully at some point it'll be on NT Live. They have this amazing thing at the beginning where also they light like this flame that goes above the stage and is there the entire performance, and it's a memorial thing.
Okay.
Because I found out before every performance, the cast gets given a little sheet of paper of someone who died from AIDS and their story. So every performance they dedicate it to that person.
That's insane.
And it's amazing, because there's a whole minute silence at the beginning, and there's like, it's just one of those moments where you can feel the atmosphere in the theatre. It's beautiful, and it reminded me of why I want to do what I want to do. There was also a Mountview grad in it, so all of us were sitting there like,
nice.
Like, hello. But yeah, it was
yes, claim to fame.
Yeah, claim to fame. Yeah, I highly recommend if it comes out on NT Live or anything. I know there's a film of it that had that got released like nearly 10 years ago, but I don't think, I mean, the play was absolutely insane, and I think the uniqueness, like I said, was the direction and the performance in it were astounding. If some of them don't get nominated for an Olivier Award, I'm going to nominate them for an Olivier Award.
Sophie's going to throw some hands.
I'm going to throw some hands.
They don't get nominated.
Unanimously.
All the awards, all the Roscars.
All the Roscars. I will make so many Roscars and just throw them. But yeah, sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there.
That is fine.
It's amazing.
No, that's fine.
Anyway.
Incredible stuff. So we're going to move on to our final section, a very speedy section. So coming up in Shakespeare Society stuff, we have our AGM. So AGM is annual general meeting where we kind of look through constitution stuff. We talk about various rep elections. Coming up, we have elections for our first year rep and a secretary. Sophie, you were, as we said right at the beginning of the episode, you were the social sec of Shakespeare Society in your second year. Can you give a very brief word as to why people should apply for any committee role, and what was it like for you? What were your favourite kind of moments from it?
Well, it teaches you a lot, I think. Like being social sec for a year meant that now I'm like so ridiculously organised about everything, because you have to be.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to do. But it's really rewarding, especially in my role, because you obviously organise socials and trips and everything. And when they go well, it's really nice, like, oh, I helped do that. That's really, really nice. But it teaches you a lot of really valuable skills about like timekeeping, organisation, how to work with people. Honestly, it's also just really fun. Like, it's stressful, but it is so fun, and you meet so many different people. I think one of the highlights was when I was on committee was the performing arts ball, because
That was really fun.
that was
I
so
enjoyed
fun.
that.
That was one of the most stressful evenings of my life, but it was so fun. Once we got everything out of the way and we managed to set everything up and it was all there, it was really, 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 really fun.
Yeah.
So always the Shakespeare speakeasy was always a good one.
Oh, they're great. They're incredible.
Chaos. They are absolute. I think that someone, I think it was James, hurt his foot.
Yep.
The first one I organised, and I was like, oh god, on my first social.
Yep.
But it is really fun. I mean, we had to get a bit creative towards the end of in my second year, because obviously COVID, so we were trying to organise things online and all of that, which was interesting. But adaptability is a key skill that you will learn. But it is really fun. It's really rewarding. Definitely apply.
Incredible stuff. So that is all we have time for today's episode of Bar Times. Thank you very much, Sophie, for coming along and being my guest on today's episode.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of Bar Times. I have been your host, Theo Doddridge, and in the words of the bard himself, that which we call a rose by any other word would smell as sweet. Take care.